Today, I will be sharing to you the process on how I draw faces. And after that, I'm going to tell you why you don't really need to master anatomy in order to improve your art. So, wish me luck.
Find my strength from within. I am stronger than before. I know that it goes.
Hi, it's good to be back again. So actually, this past few weeks, I went to a little vacation with a special person. The trip is pretty far away, so I had to get on the plane just to go with her. But I'm not gonna tell you on how it really went because it's kind of private. But the point of my vacation is me taking some little breaks to social media just to go unwind because it's been a while since I did go on some place that I don't really know. So yeah, I would say it was a pretty amazing experience to be honest, and I really enjoy it. So usually, when it comes to the process of my drawing, I just use a low-grade pencil like 2B or HB pencil. And then I just draw the guidelines for the head. Just remember, you should always focus on the shapes and sketch it very loosely. And then for the head, I try to measure the distance equally. So just don't be afraid of measuring because it doesn't have to be always perfect. Just trust your eyes and go with your visual judgment. So actually, I don't really measure things exactly. I just draw whatever feels looks right based on what style that I want. And honestly, I do that to avoid falling into perfectionism again. Also, I just erase the sketch like this, and then once I'm done with that, I just use a 2B pencil as a second layer for the skin tones. What I'm gonna do here is I just shade the whole face very lightly. Just remember that you don't have to details it yet because we're gonna smooth that out using a banana rubbing sponge. Now, we're just gonna use a kneaded eraser to erase the highlights. And we're gonna use a different pencil using a Mars Lumograph Stadler. So this pencil was supposed to be just for rendering only. So we're gonna add a contrast to the eyes. And also I forgot to mention, once you smudge the face, you need to erase the highlights in a triangular shapes. So this is basically just my signature style that you always see on my sketches. So actually, you don't really need to do this because this can be vary on a different references that you use. So it always depends on you on how you use this technique. And also for the secret sauce of my sketches, don't forget to add some texture to your drawing because this will give your sketches look more cool and detailed. So I prefer adding some little dots to the face to have that interesting look to my sketches. And once again, it always depends on you on how you could apply this method because sometimes adding some small details to your sketches can get even more dirtier if you add too much, so it should be balanced. Okay, but then, before I continue these sketches, a big shout out to ESR for partnering this video. So for those who haven't heard ESR, it's a company that makes an affordable accessories for Apple products like this ESR digital pencil. So they actually sent me a sample of their products to try it out, and honestly, I didn't expect it to like it this much. This pencil is super easy to use, the writing feels really smooth, almost like I'm using a regular pen. No lag, and the latency are just fine. I've used it for taking notes, doing some quick sketches, especially if you're an artist on a budget. This can be really useful for digital drawing. It has also a palm rejection, so you don't have to hover your hand awkwardly, you just have to write normally. And the battery life? Honestly, I've only charged it every few days. But the biggest thing about this is the price. It's way more affordable than other brands, but it still gives you pretty much all the features you needed. And after using this pencil for over 2 weeks now, I can honestly say it was super smooth, super responsive, and if you're in a budget, you can go with this one because it is definitely worth it. So once again, a big thanks to ESR for making this possible. You know, I used to feel overwhelmed and frustrated trying to learn how to draw anatomy. I just felt like it was too much and too complicated. But over time, I realized something very, very important. You don't need to master anatomy in order to improve your art. So if you're always trying to learn anatomy, try breaking it down in your own way. Or even if you think it looks bad at first, the point of studying anatomy isn't to be perfect. It's to understand how the body works so you could build your own style from it. And it's not about copying every muscle or bone, it's about learning enough to make your art feel believable in your own way. For someone like me, I'm not that great at remembering every details, especially for complex things like human body. That's why having a references is so useful. It helps me to understand what I'm actually drawing instead of just guessing. When you look at the real photos of other artists' work, you're training your eyes and your hands. You're learning how the body works, how it moves, and how they are connected. You don't have to rely on memory at all times. Well, in fact, most artists use these references, even professionals, and it's how you build a strong foundation. And over time, the more you practice with references, the more you start to remember, and eventually, you will be able to draw from your imagination. So sometimes, the way we make art is kind of a bit messy. You know, it doesn't have to be good every time you make something, and that's okay because I experienced that a lot. we should still be proud of our art, even it's a bad ones. Okay, why? Because making art takes a lot of courage. It means you tried something, you created something from nothing, and that's more than most people are willing to do. Every artist, no matter how skilled they are, has made hundreds of drawings they didn't like. And so, me too. So actually, I can't even remember how many that was, but it was just too many. But those bad artwork that we made, that's how we learn and grow. Bad art isn't failure, it's progress. And the more bad art you make, the more you improve. So don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to making art. So be proud that you made something, and be proud that you showed up. And your art doesn't have to be perfect every time, it has to be yours.